I'm Alicia.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Summer is Fun, a Summer House podcast, Season 8, Episode 15, the finale. We got it.
We're here.
Truthfully, it didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, but...
I know, but I feel like I learned what I thought was going to happen. Like this.
It was nice to have insight, yeah.
Yes, to like actually have the pieces. We like had a fuzzy picture before, and now it's clear.
Now it's clear. Okay, before we get into the finale, though, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, which is also a Summer House Martha's Vineyard podcast, which we will do once the season ends. And a Winter House podcast. We also have It's About the Pasta, Vanderpump Rules podcast, and One Season Wonders. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Vanderpasta, and join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our fun pre-shows where Meredith and I and sometimes Sarah talk about whatever the hell we want. Today we started with Italy and ended with werewolves being pregnant. It's just not a lie. And if you're wondering how we got there, check it out.
Go take a listen.
Also, you get access to any episodes we record early, including this one. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we go back and we watch old seasons of Summer House, which I think we only have one left.
Yes, one season of Summer House, but we'll do Martha's Vineyard first, the live season that just aired, and then we'll do Summer House season 4 later.
Well, when we go back and do the old Summer House, we will do a Bravo after show, so we can talk about any Bravo spoilers on the after show and not give away anything on the actual podcast episode. Also, we'll say your name on the podcast. So, God, this never goes well anymore. Okay. Thank you to Allie, Ashton, Chris, Sela, Darby, Dee, Gabriella, Jackie, Jamie, Jennifer, Kirsten, Casey, Kelsey, Kirby, Chrissy, Lady Swamp Witch, Lauren, Lindsay with an I, Lindsay with a Y, Robin, Sammy, Sarah L, Sarah R, Tyranny, Tonette, Tracy, Allie, Amber, Ann, Ariane, Emily, Gina, Isabella, Kelly, Lady Nee, Leanne, Lisa, Nina, Taylor, and Tara.
Woo! You crushed that.
Goodness freaking gracious. Okay, and then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we do live seasons, which is the end of now, basically, we'll post and ask for your questions, comments, opinions, concerns, and we'll read them on the podcast. Also, we'll pick a patron of the episode. I obviously didn't do my homework, so Meredith, can you just do stop whenever you feel like it?
Stop.
Oh my God, it's Chris. Your dad.
Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Chris, this one's for you. He's not even listening. Read the episode or listen to the episodes. You can pick someone else.
Okay, do it again.
Stop.
Kirsten.
Woo!
So Chris and Kirsten, the dynamic duo. Thanks so much.
All the that you struggle with on this show.
I know, I really do. Kyle, Carl, it's all there.
Kirsten, Chris.
I don't know. Okay, so let's get into the episode because there's a lot to unpack and I have a lot of opinions and it even made me cry twice. This episode made me cry twice. So previously on this season of Summer House, we had a lot of parties. We had chicks making out. We got naked. We fell a lot. Wes and Sierra are feeling each other. And they've been dating outside the house, but they're stuck in this weird middle talking stage. Kyle and Amanda have been having issues because Amanda wants to find a passion, but Kyle worries about Loverboy. Lindsay and Carl have also been fighting all summer. Lindsay accused Carl of not being sober. Carl was ready to burn the house down. They're not having sex. Carl can't figure out his work situation and just wants Lindsay to be soft and tender, which he's not. They cannot communicate. Lou, the stepdad, doesn't think they should get married, and it's just a fucking shit show.
Ooh. I mean, that was a good recap because that really was everything that happened this summer.
Well, did you see the recap didn't include that Carl kind of came at Lindsay in the back half?
In the last episode and stuff?
No. Yeah, you know how he's been I need you to be soft and tender.
Because we picked up with that, if that makes sense.
That's fair. Okay, so I'm just a Lindsay apologist, okay? Come in.
A lot happens this episode.
So it's Saturday, 7:16 p.m. We pick up right where we left off with Lindsay and Carl arguing about Carl's job situation.
It's a lot.
So it's a fucking lot, Meredith. Jesus Christ. So Carl says Lindsay's really good at playing victim and she doesn't care about his emotional feelings. And Lindsay's like, that's why I'm asking you questions to understand your feelings. And then they're not getting anywhere. So Lindsay gets up and she's going to go enjoy the party, which I think is the smart thing to do.
I think she's like, this is only going to get worse. Like, I don't want to spend my night like this. And we already hate each other. We've already hated each other for the last 4 days. So what's 12 more minutes so I can go dance on the dance floor?
I agree. So Danielle checks on Lindsay and Lindsay says that Carl wants her to be someone she's not. He wants someone soft and tender and she just doesn't feel soft and tender when they're talking about his career.
Which I think that's a huge point. And we talked about it multiple episodes of what Carl wants is not what Lindsay is. It's not a bad thing that Carl wants those things. It's that he's trying to force her to be something she's not.
Yeah, and I think she can be soft and tender. Like, for example, when his brother had passed away, he was the first person she went to. She was very soft and tender about it. But, also for me, if you were to be like, I don't know what I want to be right now when I'm in between jobs and this affects our whole life together because we're in a domestic partnership at this point, I would be like, can you, let's figure this out then. I'm not going to be like,
it's hustle time. It's not
give me your head, lay it on my shoulder, and we'll sit here for hours.
And it's how he's coming to her. If he was coming really upset, I think she would be softer, but that's not... He's in game mode, so she's in game mode.
Yeah, he's in game mode. Mm-hmm. He's coming with facts, and she's like, I got questions for your facts.
We're sorting this out.
Yeah. So, it's so weird. So, Wes and Sierra make out a little. Paige and Amanda do a photo shoot with Jesse, and he's the photographer.
He's so funny.
You're happy, you're sad, you're up, you're down, you love your family, you hate your family, you have daddy issues. And they're cracking up. It was so funny. Okay, we cut back to Lindsay talking to Danielle. Lindsay says she can be soft and tender at appropriate times, but she's just asking questions. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't want her to ask questions. And Danielle's like, Lindsay, you're never going to be that person. And Lindsay goes, I know. So then Gabby joins and Danielle says Lindsay, you're also soft in different but beautiful ways. Yeah. And Danielle also says she's been biting her tongue, but Lindsay, you want something from Carl that he's not providing, and that also adds stress to you. You want him to get a job, and he just won't.
And you guys both have wants and needs from each other, and you're not on the same page.
No. And Lindsay kind of snaps, right? She's she says she's been coddling him. Carl has had 10 months at home thinking about what he wants to do. Yeah. And Lindsay's done. She's done being soft and tender.
I forgot about that for a minute. I don't know how she has been, in the off season, but there has been time at least on Carl's side to figure his shit out.
Also, could you imagine? We'll talk about this later too, but imagine your person that you're dating, unemployed for 10 months, always home, doing nothing. But then when you sit down and go, did you think about what you want to do today? He one day goes, I would love to open a sober sports bar. And you're like, that doesn't sound great. And then the next day he goes, what about a cigar line? And you're like, that's also doesn't sound great. And then the next day he goes, a podcast. And you're like, what do you want to do though? Do you want sales? Do you want marketing?
To me, it's more concerning the constantly different things he wants to do rather than him saying he wants to do something, me not loving it, and him not following through anyways.
Yeah, if I can poke holes in your argument so easily that you don't follow through, you don't want to do that thing.
Well, at the end of the day, while it is my life, if I'm Lindsay, it's Carl's job. So he should just go after whatever he wants. If he wants to work at Loverboy, great, go do it. Go do something. Put the passion into it. I won't have that much sway over your career, but I'm going to give my opinion no matter what.
But that's also how conversation goes.
Correct.
If anyone asked me oh, what are you going to do as a next job? And I said, well, I'm thinking about, I don't know, doing, let's just hypothetically podcasting full time. They would be like, oh, what's your podcast? What's your idea? How much money do you make monthly? What are is that going to cover your expenses? Imagine them just being like, that is amazing.
Yay!
I would be offended and go, you should ask me questions about it so I can talk about it. Mm-hmm. If I was excited, I would want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carl, he goes back to playing beer pong. Jesse's talking to a girl that he's way taller than, so he like sits down, and then she's taller than him, but only barely.
That was wild to see the standing versus sitting, like heights.
That's my whole life. But he's really happy to be cancer free, and now he feels like he can make plans for himself, which is so nice.
I love that.
And he isn't really looking for a girlfriend, but if he met the right girl, he would make her his girlfriend tomorrow.
Okay. I'm not going to dog it. Like, he can do whatever he wants, but that's the most frustrating thing in life is like, oh, if I meet the right person, the perfect person, like, that's when I'll settle down. And it's like, what?
He hasn't met her because she's me. So
I think on the after show, I heard somebody like Sierra or something when they were like talking about how he's kind of the trash bag comment that he wants to settle down with a nice Jewish girl. So I don't think you qualify.
I would be Jewish. Is that, do you think why he was on a boat with
Batsheva? Yeah.
Batsheva from, what is it, My Unorthodox Life?
Well, as Sarah's told us, and like I've known this through other friends, like the like Jewish connections run so deep.
Crazy.
Yeah. So like he probably knew someone who knew her, went to camp with her and all that stuff. So
went to camp with her. That's the most Jewish thing. Yeah. That's Jewish culture is camp.
1,000%. We had our whole pre-show on Sarah educating us.
On Judaism.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen New Girl?
Yes.
Judaism, son. That's my favorite. Okay, so anyway, Sierra tells Wes he threw a great last party.
He did. He crushed it.
Yeah, and then there's even this guy that appears out of nowhere, and Amanda's about to walk right up to him, and Kyle's like, hey, don't do that. There's fire. And then there's fire. And it was amazing. Everyone loves the fire guy except Carl, who's in a bad mood because he doesn't bounce back, which is fine. I also don't bounce back great.
I don't either. But remember that Lindsay went inside and had her moment with the girls and like decompressed about it. And Carl went to the like beer pong table. And like no way of handling it is right or wrong. I bet Carl like went to that beer pong table, realized he couldn't just like move on. But like Lindsay did decompress inside.
Yeah. But this is one of Carl's loneliest moments ever.
And I bet it is. I bet this is like a horrible moment. You're like, there's this insane party going outside. I'm already like one of the only sober people. Like that would be a miserable
I always forget
experience.
He's sober. Well, no, I don't forget it because we talk about it 80 times an episode. But I forget sometimes.
Like putting yourself in his head.
Yeah, this sucks. I've been this person before where I've had to like excuse myself from a really fun party. But I didn't know if I was supposed to be like, oh, Carl.
I don't like him. I feel bad for him on his own. Where I then like change my tune is when he tries to like spin it that like Lindsay is like
Lindsay
out there
made
partying.
Him feel this way or whatever. That one I don't.
He compares his reaction to Lindsay's. That's what bothers me.
Yeah. Lindsay bounces back. It's what she has. Maybe she doesn't bounce back.
Maybe she's so good on putting on a show. I can easily do what Lindsay did, and I don't like that.
No. Whatever. So it's great though. Sorry, Carl, that you're sad. Amanda, Paige, and Sierra talk about Wes having the best time with his friends. Sierra was intimidated because she had to meet literally all of them, and he has so many friends. But Sierra's really happy with Wes, but scared of rejection. And Amanda's like, look, you don't have to date for marriage all this time. This could be dating for fun, and then it becomes more serious. And Sierra's like, who said commitment's not fun though? Like we could go to Italy together and then we could like go to weddings together. Like commitment isn't just shackles, which I agree with. I myself am afraid of commitment, but I think commitment sounds fun.
I think it's just getting past the initial commitment. I don't think being in a long-term relationship is that scary, but it's that like first month.
It's making sure we're both in this.
It's making it actually happen and then like getting to like 6
months. Once we're committed, I basically have someone to eat food with and watch TV with and go on trips with for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's all I want anyway. Yeah.
I'm here, great. Alicia. I'm here.
Well, we're in a domestic partnership. I already told everyone. So Balloon Guy Joe is alive and well.
Okay, he looks better. He looks better at this part.
He does look better. It's the hat, I think. Because he didn't have a hat last time.
That's true. The hairline doesn't work for me.
But we're happy to hear he's alive and well because we were worried. And then Paige kicks everyone out and Kyle gives one last toast. Love, sex, grinder.
Oh, God.
So it's 10:12 p.m. Balloon Guy, Joe, and Danielle make out and then have sex in the bathroom, so we don't have to see it this time.
Thank God.
And then Carl and Kyle talk. Carl tells Kyle how Lindsay is asking questions, and Carl does not need that. Also, Carl's been having a hard time being sober at parties and doesn't think Lindsay recognizes how hard this is for him. Like, he's been there for her during her abandonment issues. Why isn't she here for him for his alcohol issues?
She is very vocal about her abandonment issues. Like, Carl, she can't read your mind.
She also was sober with you for like a year, my guy.
Yeah, I feel like
She
she's
had
been,
your back.
outside of the beginning of the summer, I feel like she's been very supportive of his sobriety, but it's not her job to make sure you're sober. It's her job to support you. And so if you need support, you need to start learning to ask for it.
Yes. Also, he's never seen Sheena try and support people for being sober. Okay,
That's so true.
It could be worse, you know? It was way worse on Vanderpump Rules.
Can you imagine the rules that Sheena laid down for Carl? I mean, thank God we've grown about like sobriety and stuff, and knowing that like a lot of people do need to be sober, even if like,
Sheena
they don't
season
deem themselves
3
as
Sheena
alcoholics.
season 3.
Yeah. Put it in context. The like 2017 version of
She'd
Sheena.
be like, Carl, just don't be lame at this party. You can have 3 beers, no shots.
You can take
You're
one half
fine.
shot, 3 beers. That's the limit.
Yeah, only a little bit of cocaine, but not that much. Sheena would be a nightmare.
She was
Lindsay's
like, just
not
don't
forcing
clear
you
out
to
the
do
bank account.
anything. Lindsay's like, be happy, be sad. I don't care. Like, just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So it's not here's why you don't get in a relationship or your first year of being sober.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not easy.
You shouldn't, like, I feel like Lindsay kind of became a crutch in his sobriety of like they would do it together. So he had somebody to lean on to do it with. But for every day for the rest of his life, he needs to make the decision to be sober.
That's why for a year he probably should have been sober, gotten it together, and then he could be in a relationship with someone.
I also hope he takes this year. Like I know
yeah.
It doesn't sound like he's dating anyone, but like I hope he doesn't for a while.
Carl might also just need to be the type of person that dates someone who is also sober or doesn't really drink or party. As we've said, we love to drink, so we probably couldn't be with a sober person.
I would be a bad influence. I would not be supportive when I'm drinking.
My God, 3 shots in me and I'd be like, just do one. I'd be terrible. And that is why I don't date people who are sober.
Yeah.
I went on a date with someone who told me that he has addiction issues. Let me tell you, me too, because I'll sit and rot in front of my TV for 12 hours straight because I'm addicted to some show. But listen, if that is your choice, I can't support you in that. And I know that about me. So that's just what he might have to do. Anyway, Carl says that Lindsay is so strong and she thinks Carl needs to be strong too. And she doesn't realize how she makes him feel. And Carl says Kyle knows exactly what he's talking about.
Also, like, but do you tell her how she makes you feel?
No, we see it. He tells her she should be different.
What are you doing? What are you doing in couples therapy?
What is he bringing up in couples therapy? Because she has seemed to work on her anger, her activation. She seems to calmly speak to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, we have all these issues. And she's like, what issues? Like, bring it up in couples therapy, bitch.
I think he does like identify problems that he doesn't want to live with. And Lindsay's willing to live with some stuff that he isn't. And so like, their threshold of what they want out of the relationship or expected is different.
Yeah. Which is fine too. It's just different.
Yes. He needs to fucking bring it up. That's my big theme of this episode is like, I think Carl starts to bring things up finally, but like, what have you been doing for the last 2 years? It's a little too late.
Yeah. So it's 11:39 p.m. Jesse joins Paige and Amanda for bedtime. And then Sarah joins too. And then Kyle. And then Wes. And then Gabby. And they have a big cuddle, which is very cute.
I wish we had everyone. Like we started, I know Carl and Lindsay weren't there the first season, but we started with everybody who was there in the bed. And so I wish
a big cuddle.
I wish we had a few more.
So it's now 1:24 a.m. Sierra and Wes cuddle in bed together, and they're talking about like pet names, and Wes is like, I don't really do pet names except like I really like baby, but I call everyone baby. She's like, of course you do. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're kind of like everything's a joke. Like, you don't really say stuff with intention. He's like,
Yeah.
no, I like calling you baby. And she's like, but you call everyone baby. So like,
it doesn't
it
make me
doesn't
feel
count.
different outside of being your friend.
Yeah. And she brings up that Wes is a joker and she doesn't know what like a lot of stuff means to him.
Yeah. I did this in college. I started calling everybody in a class babe because I really liked a guy. And so I could easily segue into calling him babe.
Oh, I'm opposite. I used to call everyone babe, and then I dated someone, and he's like, "Can you stop calling everyone babe?" And I was like, "No."
I continued it for like after a crush, and I had a guy tell me he really didn't like that I called everybody babe.
That you were dating?
Yeah, that I was like casually saying, yeah.
Yeah, I got told that, and I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. He didn't like that I called guys babe too. He didn't really have a problem with like my girlfriends, but like guy friends.
I only did it upon like a hello. Like I'd be like, "Hi, babe," and then they were named.
I would like it would just get thrown in there every once in a while. So I'd be like, "Hey, babe, thanks, babe." Like for like if somebody gave me something or something, like if I asked for it, sometimes I'd just be like, "Thanks, babe."
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
Casual friend settings.
You know what? Are we Wes? It's hard to watch yourself in a mirror, you know? Whatever. But Wes understands where Sierra's coming from. So great.
I do know that I like used it for everyone, so it meant less to like the guy I liked.
Yeah, I also do love, I want my own pet name. I don't even want baby. I want you to think of something so cute for me that like only you would call.
I don't want it to be cute. I want it to be such an inside thing that like just we talk about.
Like what?
It just naturally will present itself.
Well, it doesn't have to be cute, but like I think if I have my own name, it's cute.
Yes, yeah.
Like a cute little thing.
I want it to just like present itself. At some point it makes sense because it's like an inside joke to us.
Have you ever had a pet name that you liked?
No. I don't stick around long enough for a pet name.
Oh, I've had pet names. And I haven't had long relationships. No, I once was called Smoothie for a little bit, which I didn't love.
I like that. But I like that, like,
cute.
That it's not a stereotypical pet name. Like, that's what
well, because he'd always be like, what should we do? And I'd be like, let's go get a smoothie. And he'd be like, all right, smoothie. And so that's just like, it was weird. I think I was called Teddy at one point, which I also didn't like. They're just weird. But I just met a dog and he was a little ugly. So I started calling him Fuggos. And my friend loved the name. She's like, I've started calling this dog Fuggos now. I think it's so cute. Like it's endearing, Fuggos.
Okay, and I don't want my pet name to be Fuggos.
I would let a dude call me Fuggos. If he was in love with me, like my husband, I'd be like, you call me Fuggos. That's fine.
I think I'd already have to be married by the time that name comes about.
Call me Fuggos. Nah, as long as at the end of the day you marry me, you can call me Fuggos. That's cute. I love it. Anyway, Lindsay and Carl do not speak the rest of the night. No. So then we wake up. It's 10:22 a.m. on a Sunday. Lindsay asks Danielle to grab coffee. Carl then wakes up. He like tries talking to Lindsay a little bit. She's not really in the mood.
But she doesn't have a bad tone. Like no. I really thought that she would have a worse tone because I think one of her problems is tone. And she was like answering full sentences. It wasn't one word like answers.
She just wasn't keeping the conversation going.
Yeah,
but
and she answered texting.
Fine. Yeah. But she knows that this is temporary. They won't always be like stressed planning a wedding. Carl won't always not have a job. So she's trying to be patient with the situation at hand.
This is what I think her fault is she thinks that they'll get over their communication issues. I don't think they ever would if they had gotten married.
Well, I don't think so either. But when I'm in relationships, like I'm the type of person who's gonna fight for it. Yeah. Like I'm Lindsay.
I get fighting for it, but I just don't think that she thinks their communication is as much of a problem as he does.
Yeah, but if I don't think that, I'm gonna fight for it.
Yeah. That's just where they're misaligned at a fundamental level.
Yeah, and I just think like we can easily be like they're not communicating correctly from the outside looking in. But like, if I'm Lindsay, I'm like, it's a temporary thing. We're gonna move past it, and I'm gonna stick around because that's what like a fiance, a wife does, and someone who loves you does. And Lindsay hates abandonment. She's not gonna leave.
That's true.
Just because things are hard.
That's true. That's probably why she digs her claws in so much harder.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, I don't believe in leaving just because things are hard. I think obviously if we don't mesh and like whatever. I think if things can get too hard, but if it's a little hard temporarily, I don't see a point in leaving. I'll stay around and I'll fight for it. which I think is Lindsay, and she does not like to be abandoned, so she's not going
Yeah.
to abandon.
I classify it higher. I feel like I read this like Carl does, and I'm like, this to me, these are not like little. This isn't a little hard. Like this is.
No, again, it's not. But I also don't think Carl is talking about what he really thinks to Lindsay.
Yeah. So in his mind, it's all stewing because he's like, this is terrible, but Lindsay doesn't know that it's so bad to him.
That's the other thing. They're so bad at communication. He hasn't said what is actually bothering him. He's sitting here going, what bothers me is you're not tender and soft. And she goes, okay, so that's not me. So get over it.
That's not code red by any means.
No.
Like that they can work through. That's so true. Lindsay is telling him all her problems. So she's like, oh, all the problems are on the table. But it's like, nope, there's shit packed away, baby.
But he's stewing and he's like, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say it. And so she's like, we're good.
But what is this? Like if he says, I don't want to be like this, she's like what?
Like what? I'm telling you, I'm never going to be that person. And he's like, no, that's a problem.
You don't know because
he hasn't yet said you not being that way is a problem for me. He's just said, I want you to be this in this situation. And she's like, no. And he's like, okay. But inside he's like, no, you must.
Well, he's holding on to all these arguments from like months and months past too. So what she thinks they get over, it's still a problem for him.
Carl has never had a strong suit in communication.
No.
We know this. Lindsay loves to communicate the way she feels at people. So that's different. Yeah.
She has an outbound communication, which is positive. Her inbound...
which I think she's working on. She has seemed to ask questions. She has seemed to stay calm.
In very a way calmer manner. I have not seen her get activated this season.
No. She said on the after show she's worked very hard to not be activated this season. I saw that.
And I was like, you know
what?
Good for
you, girl.
I've not handed it off to her enough on how far she has come. You know what? The more I talk about it, the more I really do. Because like, there was stuff that I think both of them have their own problems, but I am leaning more on Carl. You're so right. She talks about all of her stuff, and she has worked on her receiving communication. What has he done?
Also, just because I always got to say it, we know who Lindsay is. We have been watching her for so fucking long. How did you think she's not going to be this person?
I know. And like
we've seen her in tons of relationships, tons of them.
That was Daniel's point last summer was like, you guys sped so fast because you felt like you knew each other, but you never really accepted and sat down and thought like what the difference is between being a friend with someone and being in a relationship with someone.
Yes. So whatever. So Wes and Sierra, they make out a little. Their sad summer's over. But, it's after summer is football season. So that's fine. And Wes, this is the greatest compliment to my life. Wes can see himself watching football with Sierra.
I can watch football with a guy.
That's what I want.
If I was dating. Him saying like my best friend's here, I'm here, you're here, 3 years.
That was so hot. It was so hot.
I was like, sign me up, babe. I will happily move to New York. I'm in.
That's what I want. And then it's time for pool. So Carl gets back from his run. The house is an absolute mess, but it's fine. Most of the house goes to the pool.
It's honestly not as bad. I feel like we've seen worse.
There's just tons of cans everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lindsay is cleaning up a little bit. Carl joins her in the kitchen. They're trying to figure out what to do today. Some people are going to go to Montauk. Lindsay's not really feeling Montauk, whatever. Carl really wants to see this band. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Carl says yesterday wasn't great, and he's been trying to share and figure all this stuff out. And last night he just couldn't snap out of his feelings. And Lindsay says, like, look, what you're looking from me isn't realistic. And she says she asks follow-up questions. That's who she is as a person. That's who she's always been as a person.
Yep.
She loves to question, bitch. And so Carl says he does want her advice and questions, but he doesn't want it when it comes to his career. And he doesn't want that in a wife or fiance, and didn't think he signed up for that with Lindsay.
I'm like, you didn't think you signed up for it? This is where I'm like, you were friends with her for so long.
Well, Lindsay is like, that was really rude. And I was like, not only was that a little rude, that was fucking stupid to say. Of
Yeah.
course you signed up for this. What are you
Tell me you
talking
don't know
about?
your partner without telling me you don't know your partner.
The whole house would have been like, no, yeah, this is on brand, my guy.
Yeah, that's if there's one thing that everybody knew that you were getting into when you guys started dating.
It's Lindsay.
It was Lindsay questioning you, especially about your career.
About everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fuck? So Carl says his intention isn't to be rude, but he wants a lover and he wants intimacy and caring about how
I
he
hate
feels.
this. No.
And how Lindsay makes him feel. And he's angry. And Lindsay's like, why are you mad? I'm just trying to figure out your needs right now. And Carl's like, I'm telling you my needs and you're not listening. And sure, he's like, I need intimacy and love. And
That's
and
not
she's like,
tangible.
but what? She goes, I'm giving you that. Like, she, in her way, she's giving love by asking the questions and trying to help. And then Kyle walks in.
Kyle outside's like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then he like walks in and like realizes what's going on. And I was like, I'm you, Kyle. I am standing in the doorway right out of their eyesight, listening to the whole thing.
I love when he tries to put the sound system.
No, I was like, don't you dare touch a thing.
He fully moves and moves out.
I was so worried they were going to stop talking because he had to fucking clean up the speaker. Just sit in the bar, in the Send It bar, and listen away.
He had to let Carl know, like, I'm here. Just in case.
I just want to let you guys know I am listening.
But he makes a ton of noise. He's like putting away a speaker. He's
maybe
like,
he thought he was gonna like diffuse the argument by like saying like, "Hey, I'm here." But
listen, I would listen too, but Kyle did it wrong.
Yeah.
So whatever. So Carl says, "Do you trust that I'm gonna figure this job thing out?" And Lindsay's like, "Yeah." And Carl goes, "Do you trust the longevity of my opportunities and that I can provide for a family?" And Lindsay goes, "You could be very successful." And he goes, "You said could. You said could. You don't believe in me."
This is like when Lindsay like picked apart his words about him saying he was sober right now. Well, it's like, why are we picking out the words? He goes, come on.
No, he goes, "You need to tell me I'm a rock star." And I go, "No, that would never happen. I would never."
I forget when Lindsay says this, but she's like, his confidence is solely based on my affirmations towards him. He doesn't have any confidence on his own. And like, it is so visible right there.
I need you to tell me how awesome I am. I'm not your mom, bro. I'm not going to do it.
Ew, that's an ick. If you need, I want to tell you you're awesome, like on my own accord, and I hope you do. Like, that does pump you up a little bit. But if you need it from me, like, you can't have it on your own.
Yeah, ew.
Gross.
Ooh, no.
You're so awesome.
Carl says, well, Rockstar reminds me of like a yearbook. Like, you're a rock star, don't ever change.
I can't believe you said Rockstar.
That was disgusting. So Carl says they're not aligned and they might not be able to resolve this conflict. And before they get married, they need to iron out these issues. And Lindsay, of course, is like, so do you not want to get married?
Okay, I am happy he said that. I feel like that's the first honest phrase. I was like, okay, here we go. Like, this is actually productive.
Yes, but Lindsay, of course, is like, do you not want to get married? And he's like, that's not what I said. And Lindsay's like, you're not being honest, though. You're beating around the bush. Like, what? Lay the issues. Lay the issues down. And Carl's like, look, I've been having second thoughts. So we then do a commercial break and come back to see Kyle still listening. And Carl says he's having second thoughts. And Lindsay's like, look, I get it. Like, today's their engagement anniversary. They are fighting.
The fact that it is their engagement anniversary on the day of this fight, I was like, guys, this is not good.
This is cinematic. Are you kidding me? So Lindsay says, look, relationships ebb and flow. This is when Kyle takes the sound system down, in and out. And Lindsay goes, what do you need from me? Like, tell me right now. And Carl goes, oh my God, he's so gross. This whole thing gave me an ick. This whole thing gave me an ick. Carl says, in this moment, a hug.
A hug.
And Lindsay goes, no, in general.
You're not, when she said you're not being clear about what you need, this is this exact moment. I'm asking you what you need from me to be able to try and move on from this argument, whether it's even like temporarily or like longer term. And you want a fucking hug?
That's not going to solve our issues. Like one hug.
I get if you were like ended the conversation and you're like, can we hug so we can like try and make up and like cut the ice or something, like cut the tension and like.
Yeah, but that's not what you need.
No, that's like you trying to like, break the ice.
I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I just want hugs and intimacy and softness. So
I hate it.
Yeah, so then Carl goes like, not in general. Right now, I just need a hug.
I need a hug.
And so
it gets
this
so
is
much
so
worse.
gross. Oh my God, she goes and hugs him, and Kyle is watching the whole thing. She goes and hugs him, and he goes, harder, squeeze me, please.
and then he repeats it.
Her eyes too are like, and he goes, one more squeeze, harder. And I went,
by the way,
ew.
She's not squeezing him. She's like loosely touching his back.
If I give anyone a hug, first of all, I don't like to be touched. So that alone is amazing. Second of all, if you hold me there and goes harder, squeeze me,
my worst nightmare.
Vomiting in your face.
If I were Lindsay, I would have called off this engagement immediately.
Right here. When I tell you, I had to pause and I literally went, he is so
I had
gross.
full body chills. I
have such an ick. This is a new ick unlocked for me. A man that tells me to squeeze in a hug?
If he was having like a meltdown, like there is like pressure, like does help people calm down. So if he was like, I need you to squeeze me, like I'm freaking out, totally get it. But what you need right now in this emotional conversation is me to squeeze you? No.
I only squeeze. I know when I squeeze. When my friends are very upset and we're in a really long hug, or at a funeral. Those are my only squeeze places. That's it. I don't squeeze. And the squeeze for a funeral is like, oh, I'm so sorry, squeeze.
Yep. It's the benefit of like emotionally what that does transfer. But like, Carl, you're not having an anxiety attack here. It's like, you can't be honest about your emotions and what you're feeling. And so you're like trying to fake repair that through like a hug.
Meredith, I swear to God, if you ever ask me to squeeze, I'm kicking you in the face. Like, this is terrible.
Listen, we just got to our hugging phase. Like, we're not there. We're never going to be to a squeezing phase.
Even if I'm in emotional distress, I never want you to squeeze me.
You would have to be having such a bad panic attack for me to squeeze hug you.
I'd have to be on the ledge, and
I would have tried 7 other things to calm me down.
Yeah, anything, but
I would lay your body on the ground and I would stand on you before I ever squeezed hugged you.
Oh, watching this, if I was Kyle, vomit.
I would have cracked up laughing because I would have been so uncomfortable.
How is Kyle still supporting this man after this?
I want to know, honestly, what went through Kyle's head when Carl said, squeeze me. No, harder, squeeze me.
If you're not on a side, just alone from this scene, pick Lindsay's side. This was awful to watch.
Okay, but this is my first time where I'm like, Lindsay red alarm should be going off when he said I'm questioning things. Like on her own status of her relationship.
Maybe, but she's not going to abandon it.
I understand. I'm just saying this is my first bit of evidence of like slightly she shouldn't be blindsided.
She feels blindsided.
I just have to throw that in there because I'm like, oh God, you guys were in such a bad place already.
Listen, I've already turned my back on Lindsay once. I won't do it again.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Anything she does is right. No. So, Carl and Lindsay, they go to their room together. It's very awkward. They don't speak. I wouldn't either after I squeezed.
That's the thing. I'm like, get away from him. Both of you, like, why do you both need to be cleaning stuff up at the same time? Be the last to leave.
I'm Lindsay. I'm drowning in the pool right now by my own choice.
I would be laying out on a chase lounge out by the pool just to avoid being in this room.
I would go to Jesse and be like, can you waterboard me, please? Like, I'm begging you.
Hey, Wes and Jesse, can one of you go squeeze Carl and can one of you waterboard me right now?
One of you hold me under the water. Don't let me go. Just let me die. So Paige asked Jesse, because they're cleaning up now. Paige asked Jesse how his summer was. He says this was really fun. It was a very different experience than any shared house he has done in the past. He didn't know, like, living with girls, but, like, top notch.
I wonder if he has sisters. I'm going to guess no.
I'm going to also guess no. Because living with girls is not a big deal.
No, but it is like, it has like little nuances that if you've lived with a
It is.
sister, you want to be like, wow, I've never lived with a girl before.
Yeah, especially if all the girls are taken, like he said. Like, if there's no
Yeah.
sexual prospects,
No.
it's just a normal
It's just,
sister vibe.
it's a little energy different to live in a share house with a bunch of boys.
For sure. And then, but Jesse's really relieved to be cancer-free. He feels unstoppable.
Yeah.
So now it's 12:57 p.m. We're packing because summer's over, and Lindsay and Carl still aren't talking. Danielle goes to check in with Lindsay. Lindsay says she doesn't really want to go to Montauk and have her, like, after she had her ass handed to her by Carl. Lindsay tells Danielle everything. And apparently this has been an issue since November when they started couples therapy. And Lindsay's been working.
Jesus Christ. That's what I'm like, Carl, why aren't you bringing these things up since November?
Yeah, apparently it's been months. So, but Lindsay says she's been working on her tone and her reactiveness and not getting activated, which I think she has. I think we've made strides.
Because nobody else gets activated, so I don't think about it often, you know? But when Lindsay does, you think about it. And so, like, her not getting activated hasn't made me be like, oh, wow, praise her all summer because she hasn't done it, because that's like the rest of the house's normal baseline. But so this pointed out to me, like, oh my God, she really has come a long way.
Yeah. Her tone, I've noticed her reactiveness, because any other person before this season comes at Lindsay and goes, I don't know, fucking anything. You need to be soft and tender. Lindsay's yelling.
Yeah.
Lindsay's
standing up over you, yelling.
She has not done that really once this season. She's been pretty okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that the rest of the house is like around her, I feel like shows that she's a different person.
I think her working on that with Carl helps her in her friendships. And so, like, she is more approachable. And that's why we've seen her flourish in her friendships. So, like, despite that being, like, work she worked on with Carl, like, I hope she sees that it was beneficial for her just, like, in general.
Totally agree. She says Carl also feels bad because he wants to Carl feels bad. So then it's almost like he wants to make Lindsay feel bad. And then he just wants like a hug from her after he made her feel bad.
It's so weird. I like cannot fully understand him, which
is kind of true, right? He's sad that she questioned him, and then he feels less than or whatever, and then he says, "This is why I don't want to get married to you, but can I have a hug?"
I think he probably feels like it gives him permission to be honest about where she has hurt him, and like he won't be honest unless it can be tit for tat.
Yeah, which is weird.
Well, that first opening of the like reunion, or I don't know if it's the opening, but like when they all ask if Carl's scared of like Lindsay, he's the last to raise his hand. Like he still to this day cannot be honest.
That's, you know what?
It is insane that he is the last to raise his hand in that clip.
You're right. I would have been the first.
I mean, outside of Andy. Andy got permission when everybody else's hand was raised to be impartial.
Lindsay says if Carl wasn't rude, maybe she would want to fuck him. Like we stopped insulting him.
Which is true. Like
it's true.
When you both like feel attacked, like you're not going to be sleeping with each other. How will we like
with you now?
Put our swords down and have like real conversations and then go bang it out after?
Yeah, so there is a moment of panic because Lindsay's not wearing her ring, but she's not wearing any jewelry. And I'm this person, I have to take off all jewelry and I'll just re-put it on.
I understand. When like she didn't have it on, though, I was like, is this my second little like note of evidence that she shouldn't be blindsided? And then, no, it's not. I crossed it out.
Like my mom sleeps and like showers in her wedding ring. I just can't.
I sleep and shower in the only jewelry I wear every day.
No.
I only take it off if I'm going into an ocean or a large body of water.
No, never. I'm jewelry-ish right now because I just got out of the shower. Like I won't. So Lindsay says, you know how you have to love yourself before you can make someone else happy and love them? It's the same with confidence. So Carl is so dependent on Carl is so dependent on Lindsay to boost his confidence. Yeah. And then Lindsay just doesn't want to be around Carl right now because of the conversation. She just doesn't have anything left in the tank for him. Which, yeah, this is exhausting. But
I'm sad for her.
Me too. So it's now Sunday, 1:50. Lindsay and Carl are figuring out what they want to do. Everyone's going to Montauk. And Lindsay's like, fine, let's just go with the group.
Mm-hmm.
The group's pumped. They're like, yes, everyone's going to Montauk. This is amazing.
And I love how happy they are that
Me
everybody's
too.
joining. They obviously know the tension between Carl and Lindsay. Like the pool group called it out, like, oh, Kyle's still in there. Like, I
Yeah,
bet
he got
Lindsay and
tripped.
Carl are fighting. So like it's when you know two people are fighting, you like help like create a wedge between them to not make it weird.
Yeah.
Like I bet they're gonna sit on either ends of like the group and whatever.
Well, Lindsay comes out and goes like, I'm going to Montauk, but my
Okay.
run request is I don't want to ride with Carl. And I went, whoa.
If Carl heard that's why I'm like, Linz, like you're adding fuel to the fire to just like make it a miserable experience when you're at Montauk.
I wonder if she shouted it or just like kind of said it to Danielle, because Mikes always are weird.
Yes.
Where like that she could find because she's just like, can I come in your car instead?
Yes.
And then she obviously didn't want Carl to drive alone because that was an issue. So she's like, Jesse, can you ride with Carl?
I loved her securing other people to go with him, so it made it less weird. Because he had that meltdown about the car situation and driving home alone like a week ago.
It still sucks, but I get what sometimes you just need fucking space.
Yes.
You just need like a fucking breath.
And it's annoying that like Carl like uses this as like, oh, she doesn't want to drive with me. And it's like, you don't fucking want to drive with her either.
Did you watch the after show? Did you watch the after show?
I didn't of this episode. I started to catch up on old ones.
Okay, I didn't finish it, but I started it. And obviously they start with Lindsay and Carl. And Carl was just like, I don't think you understand. Like, I had to drive all the way home all by myself. And he's like, and then when I do drive with her, we're silent. And I'm like, well, maybe you guys shouldn't drive back together then.
Oh, God.
Ideas. I don't know. It was hilarious. I was like, get over it. Get over it.
He's such a baby.
It's okay.
He's such a baby about simple things that make a lot of sense that you guys just fought. Why do you guys need to be in a car together?
So goodbye, Summer. We love you. But then 3 days later, we're in New York City. Carl and Kyle are grabbing a coffee together at a restaurant.
I really thought that this conversation happened like the week before the last weekend. And so I was like,
day of. This was crazy.
Okay, here we go.
So this is where I need production to do a full deep dive. So Carl had to have let the cameras know something was going down because he said, I need to film a scene with Kyle.
I can't figure that out because I've been trying to assess how much, I've been really thinking since I watched the episode, how much did production have a hand in this and how much did Carl have a hand in this, like, type of thing? Because, like, when Scandival went down, production said that they, like, had an inkling that something was happening well before the cast even brought it up. And that because the cast was like, so no, or like Ariana and like Sheena were so no, nothing is happening, they didn't pursue it. So I feel like behind the camera, they're like, wow, this is bad. I feel like we need to get an update. So when they do get married, we like
but 3 days.
I know.
Production would wait a week or two.
I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because like Kyle and Amanda got married like 3 weeks after the summer ended and they picked back cameras up for that. So like at what point was production just talking about it? And then when you're communicating with Carl, you realize how dire it is. I don't know.
Yes. I think if it was 2 weeks later, production's like, we're doing a check-in because you're getting married in 2 months, like let's
cameras being back up is not weird just in a general sense, but you're right.
3 days. 3 days. Production just got back to their own homes and you're like, come back out. And it's like, oh, okay.
I know. I feel like production knew to like keep tabs on their like status.
Yes, but I don't think someone would after 3 days reach out.
I think they would have still been in communication with Carl and Lindsay.
I think Carl said you should get cameras down here. I'm going to talk to Lindsay and Kyle.
I don't think it was that direct. That's where I said, but
like, how would they know? 3 days is crazy.
I feel like somebody, like, because you're close with your producers. Like, a lot of reality TV people say it's like a love-hate relationship. So, like, when, like, let's say, I don't really know how production, like, titles work, but, like, head production or, like, whoever's closest with Carl texts him and is just like, hey, how did you get back to the city okay? And they're like, buddy, like, how are you guys? And they're asking how it is. And Carl's probably like, not great. Like, it's really tense. I'm not sleeping. Like, and you're just like friends texting and realizing like, this is terrible. Like, I just feel like you could sense it. And it wouldn't shock me if production set up the Carl and Kyle conversation, and from there then like knew and like kind of Carl was like, I'm gonna have the conversation tomorrow.
I get it, but I just don't think
I
production
know.
would show up I think like a week. They'd be like, we could check in on the weekend or something.
I think production would have started the conversation though, to be like, hey, how are you guys?
Yeah, but I think Carl would have said, I'm doing this, something's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I'm gonna talk to Lindsay. You should come film it.
I just don't think it's as mischievous as like like cameras go down and God, too many CKs.
I know.
Carl, like out of the blue, text production is like, hey, I'm breaking up with Lindsay.
No, I'm sure they were in communication, but I think Carl said, I'm talking to Lindsay, you should get cameras here.
Yeah.
Like, do it. Not do it because he's not that direct, but like, hey, I'm planning on talking to Lindsay. It would be cool if cameras came.
Yeah, like him and production are just talking about the status of his relationship, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to break things off. You should put cameras back up.
Yeah. But again, I don't think he'd say that. I think he'd be like, I'm gonna have a
break
really
things
serious
off with
conversation.
Lindsay. Yeah, and they're like, do you want cameras there? And he'd be like, yes.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to prove that I'm the good guy.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think he wanted...
I think he was in cahoots.
Evidence.
As an Ariana thing, like, recorded.
I don't think he's going in there being like, I want Lindsay to be like... I would like really want to show it to her, but like I think he like in his mind needs evidence. Yeah.
Which I don't think works for either of them, honestly.
No. But I think as of the viewer, thrilled with him. Terrible thing for her, but thrilled we got this on camera.
Yeah, but I don't think it worked the way he thought it was going to work, where we're all going to be like, Lindsay definitely lost it.
These next few conversations are just very interesting. Crazy.
So, yeah, Kyle and Carl. Carl says he's at a loss. They're supposed to get married in 2.5 months, and they're unable to resolve conflict and communication in a healthy way. Sunday night, they drove back to the city, not speaking. She gets out of the car hastily. I hate when people describe. And there were water bottles in the back that were in glass bottles, and she hastily tried moving them and shatters the water bottles in the back of the car. And then she walks off, and he makes this little like look like he was he's like, I was just following her.
Oh my God.
Delicately following her. And the elevator door shut in his face. And then she gets inside and slams the door to their room. So he sleeps in the other room.
Wait, how does the elevator door shut in your face?
First of all, if she was in the elevator before you wouldn't see her slam the door to get in their apartment. She's already in there.
That tells me he was able to stick his hand in there because I bet the door was closing. Was she not holding it open for you? All right.
Fine.
Hey, bitch move of Lindsay? Absolutely. But guess what?
She had glass water bottles, though, she was trying to move. Both hands were taken.
Broke hers.
There were others. I don't know. This didn't make any fucking sense. So they haven't talked since they've been back. They also haven't had sex in 3 weeks. He's frustrated that Lindsay's never gonna change. And Kyle's
like, what?
What? Well, Kyle's like, okay.
Kyle's face, because Amanda has said, like, he got the call the night before that they were going to, like, film a scene, so it's just like, what am I doing here? Like, you don't really have enough time to really chat.
You know what's hilarious is Kyle probably sat down and was like, hey, man, and Carl immediately goes, like, I'm at a loss, but she hastefully grabbed the water
Kyle's
bottles.
Like, whoa. Okay, what am I doing here? They're getting coffee.
I assume it's not before noon. So he's like, I just woke up. I got a company to run, my guy. You're unemployed. What am I doing here?
Kyle thought the biggest pain in his day was that it was raining and he couldn't wear sunglasses. No, sir. No.
God, I'm here for the next 4 hours. I just have to run a company, though. What am I doing here? Amanda can't run it. She's lazy.
And Kyle's the one who witnessed the entire conversation back at the house like 3 days ago. So like,
squeeze me.
He has the most information on where the status of this relationship is at too. And Kyle's like, whoa, boy.
What if Kyle was like, do you want to squeeze from me?
Yeah, do you need a squeeze?
Anyway, Kyle's like, look, what are you protecting at this point? Like, why are you talking in circles? There's no circles at this point.
Kyle does a really good job as a friend, I will say.
And Carl's like, I am guilty in talking in circles. And he goes, one time, Kyle, Lindsay threw the ring at me, but we moved on, but I can't move on. And I go, okay, but if you've told her you've moved on. We've moved on.
I'm like, okay, Carl, like this is way worse than I ever thought. Buddy, my guy. That happened 6
But,
months
like,
ago.
just looking at what Carl's done, right? I imagine Lindsay throwing the ring and him being like, Lindsay, I'm sorry. Let's work this out. She accepts.
There's no way he
whatever.
said I'm sorry. I bet they had a fight. They
He
slept
did
in
it the
separate
last
rooms.
time. The last time they fought, he went into Gabby's room and said, Lindsay,
Yeah, but
I'm
that was
sorry.
on camera. Like, that fight was not on camera. There is no way it resolved like that.
No, you're right. Carl's definitely different off camera.
I just think a fight off camera is a little different. You don't feel the need to resolve it in such a pretty package.
That's also true. But, like, I could also see him being like, let's just move on. Let's just, it's all fine and dandy. And now he's like, it's not.
That's the thing. I bet the next morning you wake up and you're just both like, let's just move on and act like it didn't happen. Yeah.
And Kyle's like, okay, so you know Lindsay and you know her as like a fiance.
Yeah.
Do you actually think you're going to get what you want from her? Like, do you want to marry her? And Carl goes, I don't know.
Oh my God. I needed Kyle way sooner because he knows Lindsay and he may not like all the sides of Lindsay, but he accepts exactly who she is.
Well, Carl's sitting here like, can you believe she's not soft and tender? And Kyle's like, yeah.
Kyle's like, what? Those two words? Lindsay?
He goes, Kyle and Lindsay, I will say, I've said before, I'll say it again, those two peas in a pod, those two. He's not soft and tender either. These two, literally the same.
That makes me just imagine Amanda saying, squeeze me to Kyle.
And Kyle would be like, no, I'm running a company, bitch.
I'm busy.
I'm busy doing Loverboy stuff that you don't care about because you're lazy in New Jersey.
Go play with the pups.
Go over your bedtime. So 2 hours after that, we go back to Carl and Lindsay's apartment.
Oh my God.
Lindsay's on the couch. We have learned Lindsay has no idea what's happening. She doesn't know what this conversation is.
Okay, remind me, when she got the text that she has like spoken about in podcasts, did she get it the day before? Okay.
Yeah, and then she got home, but Carl was already asleep in the other room, so she didn't ask him what it was about.
Okay. I totally think that Kyle-Carl conversation was set up by production to help lead into whatever conversation Carl and production set up.
I agree. I don't think Carl texted Kyle and was like, dude, can we meet up? No. And then he told production about it. I think production was like,
we need to make this make sense.
And then was like, Carl, you got to leave by a certain time. And he left before Lindsay was up.
They wanted Lindsay sitting there and Carl to walk in.
And for them to have not talked.
Yes.
Because Lindsay says she woke up, Carl was gone. And she was like, okay. And so then production showed up.
So, like, even if he didn't, like, let's just put the conversation of if he set it up or not off the table. Like, he has clearly not spoken to her since it got set up. And so, like, the day of is a total blindside of, like, what's going on.
Yes. So
from a production standpoint. Again, me being blindsided by the relationship, I just see it different. So...
No, but I think blindsided by the way production was here to then capture this, to what you were trying to tell. I also don't think Carl knew what he was doing when he first entered. I still don't think he knew what happened at the end.
I still don't think he knew what he wanted to do fully because he's Carl and like probably talked himself into circles. But knew he wanted a conversation on camera as documentation.
Today in real life, he still has no idea what happened in that conversation or what he even wants.
I hope that production gave him the full footage of that to be like, this is exactly what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't. It was crazy. Okay, so let's get into it. So
it wasn't as crazy as the conversation about what his parents said.
No, that was crazy. This was crazy because he didn't shut the fuck up and let Lindsay talk for a second.
He was so argumentative and
so rude. Yeah.
But he was more confident in like arguing with her than we have seen. Well, it was so interesting.
It was weird. Yeah. So the silence is crazy.
Dude, her sitting in that corner too, and he walks in and he's like, hey. I'm like,
and she's like, hey. And so he sits down and like stares at her. And I'm like, you called you should start.
She's not going to start this conversation.
But she does. She goes,
what do you want to talk about?
She goes, I'll start.
It's like if somebody called a meeting with you and they were like, what do you want to talk about? I didn't call this.
I don't know. So she does say, I'll start. And she says she doesn't want to fight with Carl. It's not productive. It's not helping. Mm-hmm. Today, Lindsay really thought about it and she's like, oh, maybe when I ask you questions, you feel like I'm belittling you or you're not capable.
I was like, Lindsay, that's huge because I do think that's what he feels. And so, like, her having that self-reflection on how she comes off, she has really never done in all of the seasons.
And it only took her it's only been 3 days for her to like take the time. So that's great timing on that.
I was like, Lindsay, I love, because like,
we love growth.
I think she does have some responsibility in wanting to come off the best way and not hurt him. Like, that's what us as people should all want to do. We like should not want to hurt people. And if we find out that like it's not meshing with someone, we should want to change a little bit. Like try and like present things in a better manner.
Agreed. So I really liked this. And Lindsay says like, but where did this come from? Like that I shouldn't ask you questions.
Yeah.
Because she says we've had so many conversations where I've been your sounding board for everything, for you to figure things out.
Which, like, I never thought about.
Yes, the lover boy thing, he constantly came to her.
Mm-hmm. And like, she used to get to be in this position, and what has changed?
Yeah, so she asked in the last 2 weeks, what, like, you changed your feelings, which is fine, but, like, I'm trying to understand, like, why your needs changed and now what you need and now why am I the enemy for asking you questions?
Yeah, and she goes, it's fine that your needs changed. I'm just trying to understand why.
Yeah, which is fair.
And I love that she wants to know why, because I think she would use that information to then adapt. Like she said, she can come off like
her tone could be crazy.
Like she doesn't want it to be belittling, and so how can they find a way where she can ask her questions, and maybe it's timing or the type of questions or how she structures them or whatever to change like how he receives that. But like she needs the information about like what has changed and what has like changed for him and his thinking to be able to adapt her style.
Exactly.
I was like, oh my God,
I was
Lindsay,
proud.
I love
this was a great way to start.
Yeah.
And Carl interrupts and says, you're not the enemy. I've explained this already. I'm overwhelmed with making my career choice, and I've asked you to be more comforting and excited and positive versus the questions, and this has been happening for a long time. And so,
like, sir, it sounds like you are having a chaotic life right now, and you want to be mad at her for anything.
Yeah. Just because what? She's not chaos right now? Also, okay, fine. You're having an overwhelming experience currently. But he's like, I've expressed this to you. But when? In the last 2 weeks when you started yelling at me about it?
I was about to say, I feel like the only time I noticed it was at West's party, which was 3-4 days ago, when you said, like, you're at your limit or something in that conversation. But right before you said it's a fucking lie, that Lindsay's a fucking lie.
Yeah, but, like, when have you expressed this? Because expressing your needs changing, it's not the same as saying, I just want you to be a cheerleader right now. That's not the same.
No.
It's different. Expressing your needs is saying like, hey, I'm in a lot of chaos. I understand that you love to question and I love when you push me. However, I'm just not in the right state.
And it's like giving even more like around that, like saying like, today I can't handle the questions. So like tomorrow let's talk about this stuff. But can you just like give me some like positive affirmation about like what I'm thinking? Like I don't have the confidence in myself.
God,
so, like,
the ick of someone though saying, can you give me positive affirmation?
Okay, but if that's what he needs, then he needs to ask for what he needs. Like you do not need to be with a person like that. But if he needs something, he needs to ask for something.
Yes, agreed. So Carl goes through everything. They've talked about sobriety, him becoming, because he's like, you shut down all my ideas. So he's like, I talked about being in sobriety. I talked about being an actor, and you said, why would you do that? And then you're telling me I'm pigeonholing myself, and I brought up the sober bar, and you said, that's a bad idea, and I brought up cigars, and you said, absolutely not. And you always shut my ideas down, and I go, actor? Cigars? Podcast? What has she been dealing with?
But again, she's not your keeper. if you, I feel the same way with like Amanda's, because like in Amanda's like goals of like her swimsuit line in the after show, she said she's done nothing for it. So like, Kyle
go
reacted
do
badly,
something.
but Kyle is not your keeper. Like, go make it happen.
Go
like,
do
Carl, go fucking make
Go
whatever
do it.
your dreams are happen.
Yeah, I forget Amanda hasn't actually done anything. So we get a whole storyline about nothing. So Lindsay, it looks to him and goes like, it's not like that. And Carl goes, you keep questioning me and that doesn't make me feel good. Also, I just have a quick story. This is what this reminded me of. This is why I don't feel bad for Carl, I think. So 2 of my roommates in college were like, we're going to do a business. We're going to have a food truck. So the drunk people, the drunk kids at our bar can just walk out and get food. And I was like, business-wise, because that wasn't available to us. So I was like, business-wise, that's a great idea. I think you would make a lot of money. I go, however, you guys love going out on Fridays and Saturdays. Like,
are you gonna sacrifice?
Yeah, what's happening there? And they were like, we'll have employees. And I go, so how are you gonna pay the employees? And I was like, also, where are you buying a truck? And there's some cheap trucks. And I was like, where? Also, you got to pay for gas and the food, and you have to redo the truck because you actually have to make a food truck capable for you. And they were literally like, just stop shutting down our dreams. And I go, I'm a business major. Like, this is literally the basics of your business plan.
But that's what it is for Carl and those friends. It was a dream. They want to have a dream. They don't want to have a reality. You were asking questions for reality. Lindsay is asking questions for reality.
Yeah, but I was like, these are basic ass questions.
But they were never going to follow through with it.
They didn't. Are we surprised?
No.
Carl's also not an actor. Are we surprised?
No.
So Lindsay's like, Carl, we have talked about this extensively. And then Carl keeps interrupting. And he asks Lindsay, like, okay, they go back and forth interrupting each other. And then Lindsay's like, Carl goes, remember when you were going to record me? And Lindsay's like, I didn't record you. But Carl keeps interrupting. And he said, so I recorded you. So basically, what happened was Lindsay wanted to reconnect on Labor Day, but Carl kept telling Lindsay to change. And then Lindsay's like, why'd you propose to me? I'm the same person I've been for 8 years. And then Carl says he shouldn't have proposed to her. And then Lindsay says, I'm going to record this. So like people know you're saying nasty things. And she didn't end up recording anything. But then he started recording her and started saying like, Lindsay, stop screaming at me.
Oh my God.
Okay, they talked about this a little on the after show I saw. So basically for Labor Day, they were deciding what to do. And Carl was like, we should go to Montauk. And Lindsay's like, it gets so crowded. Like, I don't really want to do that, especially we don't have the summer house. Like, it's just like, it's not a thing. She's like, if we want to do a trip, like, what if we saw my family in Florida? And he's like, I don't want to do a trip because we have a wedding in Portugal. So, like, I don't want to do that. And then Lindsay's like, but it would be really nice to see my dad because we always see your mom. And Carl was like, no, it's not about that. We're not going on a trip. So that was, and Lindsay's like, I think I just want to do something, the 2 of us though, to reconnect. And Carl was like, but we should go to Montauk with the group. And so it was like a thing.
Damn.
So there was more to it even. Which like I get. But also, dude, Florida's cheap, you know?
Well, last minute flights won't be.
True. Staying with dad though. Doesn't matter.
True.
Who cares? So Lindsay's trying to understand what Carl wants so she can adjust, but it's clouded when he gets angry and raises his voice and then slings insults at her. And Carl says there are 2 worlds with Lindsay. Reality and what she spins reality to be.
Which, like, okay, I don't believe that anymore.
No, I think Lindsay can spin things.
Absolutely.
But I don't think she's so off base here.
But I also, this is where I just think fundamentally they're so different. So he thinks the way she thinks is spinning his reality when it's like, no, she just thinks of things very different from you.
Yeah. And then he says, you're really good at playing the victim. And I hate stop.
Listen, there are people in reality TV who do play the victim, but like,
Lindsay?
I hate when people throw shit out in fights, and Carl does it a lot during this, and just like throw digs at her just to ignite her.
Yeah, and he says this is her show and he's just paying rent to be a part of it.
I was like, oh my God. I think he thought that he could cause a fight like Stravi. And then when Stravi left, we felt bad for Stravi because she kind of pushed him out.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, I think he thought if they had this conversation, they're going to like explode and he's going to be like, see, this is what I don't want. I don't want this relationship.
I think he was trying to activate her.
And she's not like that anymore. She did change. You wanted her to change. She
worked on herself.
She did change.
So Lindsay says, I'm just trying to readjust what you need from me, like from what you needed before. Like she says, like, I'm learning. I need grace. And he goes, I'm giving you grace.
You got to adapt. Like, give me a minute to catch up to like what your changing needs.
It sounds like 2 weeks ago you woke up and went, no more questions. So she's trying to adapt to not, right? Okay, for many, many years, Lindsay has been activated. Her tone has been off. She's not been an enjoyable person to be around. She has adapted to that, but it has taken time. She will adapt to not asking you questions, but you can't just spring it on her and expect her to like not do it anymore.
From today forward, you're not allowed to ask me more questions.
No questions.
Oh my God, give me a beat.
So Carl doesn't like Lindsay having an opinion on his career, and he thinks Lindsay just bulldozes him.
Now it's further. She used to not be able to ask questions. Now she can't even have an opinion.
No, she can't even think about it.
Yeah.
And Lindsay's like, look, I'm in charge of my opinions and my emotions. Like, you're not going to tell me not to have them. And Carl says that Lindsay has called him names like little bitch and little baby.
Which I do believe.
Little mama's boy.
It's funnier hearing you like repeat them.
The tweets, as you can imagine, are going off about this.
Are they good?
Well, they're like, that's as bad. That's how bad it was that your feelings got hurt. Because some girls are like, I would have done worse, probably.
That's true. I have done way worse.
Someone was also like, oh, his little bitch boy Carl, sad that he's not getting a huggy from his big boy Jobby.
Big
squeeze about his big boy Jobby. Oh, little mama's boy. That's on brand for Lindsay. She'd be like, stop. Oh. But also, I'm wondering because I love telling people they're acting like insert name here. Like I'll be like, Meredith, you're acting like a little bitch versus Meredith, you are a little bitch. So which one was it? Like I could easily be like, you're acting like a little mama's boy right now.
But I bet Lindsay said you are a little mama's boy.
He is.
He is.
Okay, so where were we? Oh, so
little bitch and little mama's boy. That's
little bitch. And so Lindsay's like, where is this coming from? And Carl's like, look at your texts, which isn't what she asked. She's like, where is this whole thing coming from?
All he wants to do is bring up all the fights from the past and put them on camera.
Yeah. And so he says he wants Lindsay to, or he says he thinks Lindsay wants him to relapse. And I went, that is...
I don't believe that.
What?
Just so she can control him.
Carl doesn't even know what to do. They trigger each other and hurt each other. And he doesn't want to live that way. And he says...
All that valid.
He's not ready to get married in 2.5 months. And Lindsay's face looked so sad. I felt this is where I cried. I was like, oh no.
Well, I'm like, Lindsay, you guys are not ready to get married in 2.5 months.
Yes, but Lindsay's face, it doesn't
I know, the hurt. Like, because I'm not feeling the emotions she is. This is not my relationship that I'm like, I'm glad this is called off. You guys are in a really, really bad spot.
But it was in a really harsh way, and it's on TV, and it's just sad.
I know.
So Carl says he's unhappy, and they don't think they should do this. And Lindsay's like, what happened in the last 2 weeks?
I know, but that segment, that ending of the conversation is the most honest he has been.
He has been.
And it was packaged, despite it hurting her, it was packaged very clear and very well. I don't think she can hear it because, like, the chaos ringing in her ears probably, but like I was
from the last 10 minutes of this conversation.
I know that's what he needed to start with.
Yes,
maybe not the like I don't want to get married in 2.5 months, but like I don't like where we're at. I don't want this in a relationship. Like we either need to figure it out in the next like 2 weeks, basically like put a timeline on it, or like I think we need to postpone the wedding. I love you so much, but
agree.
whatever.
But that's not how he did it.
No.
And my little Lindsay is so sad.
He talks in circles, so I think it is amazing when he actually, like, makes a valid point.
So, yeah, she's not comprehending anything because she just walked in circles for 10 minutes. And now she goes,
you just
what?
talked about how her text messages and her, all this stuff, and, like, she's not allowed to have opinions.
Like, what?
Like, so then, the rules aren't staying the same. So then she's so confused about everything from the prior.
So yeah, Carl's like, or Lindsay says what happened in the last 2 weeks, and Carl doesn't answer and instead says, when do you just say, or when do, he goes, when do you just say this isn't working, Lindsay? You know, just that's what we got to do. And I'm like, can he stop interrupting for a fucking second?
You're not ever letting her catch up. Like, you have been coming to this realization over the last 2 weeks. Yeah. She's just finding it out now.
She's blindsided. She's blindsided. And I also, this is where I said, I'm going to smack him. I'm going to smack a hoe in Lala terms.
When do you just call it off? That's not who Lindsay is, like you said. Like, Lindsay's going to hold on and try and figure this out. I don't, like, this isn't right for her. But
she says next, her solution isn't to quit. And Carl's like, yeah, I know. And that's, like, beautiful for you. But, and then Lindsay's like, I find solutions before we quit at this. And I think in her mind, she's like, you just asked me to stop asking questions. Like, we haven't even gotten to a solution yet. And she says relationships take work. And Carl says, our fights aren't normal. And I can't quit I can't quit like that and go to couples therapy for the rest of my life. Which I think some relationships need couples therapy. That's okay.
I think he means as, like, a solution, not, like, as a preventative measure. They're not going as a preventative measure.
No, they're going as a solution.
They're going as, like, these are dire problems that they're not really resolving.
Yeah. So Lindsay says, what do you want me to say? You already made a decision and you're just telling me about it.
Which is true. He did walk in there with the decision.
Yeah, and she says, so what do you want me to do? Do you want me to fight? Because I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to beg you to be with me if you don't want to be.
I love that.
Yeah, and Lindsay says, you made the decision, and I think you're quitting because that's what's easy. And then Carl interrupts her again and tells Lindsay she's thinking based off of what she thinks he's thinking. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So then Lindsay says, look, there's no point in this. And she walks away. And I have to say, I was so proud of the way because I would have killed him right there. But.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm very proud of her for saying, like, this, I'm not going to argue. Mm-hmm. You've already decided to leave. So what am I going to do? But Carl says, he said on the after show, like, first thing, he says, if Lindsay had said, like, I still want to work this out, he would have been so glad.
Which is insane, because then he's using their breakup as a tactic to get validation that she is in this. And that's not what this should be.
That's great. If you say to me, we're not getting married in 2.5 months, I'm not going to say, yay. No, please, let's do it.
Yeah.
Please don't leave me.
Please don't leave me.
And then what? You go, okay, for my abandonment issues?
When there's cameras there. When there's cameras there, too, you best believe, like, maybe I'd be like, wait, are you sure about this if there aren't cameras down? But I'm not going to beg you to stay with me on camera.
He was like, I would have been thrilled if we continued to work. I was like, we've been working on it. What else are we doing?
Like, backs up, not that this is, like, a point of his, but that he didn't want to, like, end the relationship, quote unquote. But again, I don't think he knows how to communicate that stuff. Then you don't throw these grenades out there that, like, you don't want to get married in 2.5 weeks. There's a better way to say that, like, hey, I don't think we should go through with our wedding here in 2.5 months. Sorry, not weeks. But I still love you and want to be with you. I just think we need to push it out a little bit and figure out some problems.
He does not know what he wants to do as a job. He does not know what he wants out of his relationship. He did not know what this conversation was going to have. This man, his brain is in shambles. I have no idea what's happening in there. And so you said what you said, and that's the decision you made.
Yep.
You can't be mad that Lindsay says okay to your decision and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted the fight. He wanted her to be like, no, please, and him be like, Lindsay, I don't know if I'm going to take you back moment.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's not Lindsay. Like, we've seen all the breakups. That's not Lindsay.
She let Stravy leave. She said, go.
She said,
bye.
get the fuck out of here,
Yeah,
basically.
see you never. So a producer also, wait, can I ask this question? This has very little to do, but do you think in her life, Lindsay loved Everett more or Carl?
I actually think Everett.
I do too. I think she would have fought for Everett.
I think Everett is the one who got away.
Who got away.
Carl is like him, and so like it fits, but like
Carl's a better version of the same man, I would say.
I don't know about better.
I think Everett was a piece of shit. I think Carl's less of a piece of shit.
I know, but like Everett like has drive and has the things she wants. Yes. Like on a morals basis, sure, but like in the things she wants, Everett is the guy she wanted. Carl is like the B version of like the
of
qualities.
Everett for Lindsay. Yeah. So a producer goes to Lindsay checking to see if she's all right. She says, look, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what this show, like right now.
That producer was not checking if she was okay. That producer was like, get out of the bathroom. We need more.
Yeah. So then she calls her dad and tells him how Carl made the decision to call off their wedding and break up. And her dad goes, oof.
Which, like, that conversation was way more calm than, like, the clips we got of her being like, I'm blindsided.
Yeah, I thought she did. I would have called my dad sobbing.
I would have called my parents screaming.
I would have said, we have someone to kill.
Call
the mob.
Now.
Get the guns. We don't even own guns. I'd be like, get the guns. To be
honest, I would have thrown grenades back. I would have called his mom. And I'd be like, your son just ended this engagement.
Oh my God, that's savage. So Carl talks to producers. He's like, I'm trying my best. I thought it would work. And maybe like I should question my sanity because like, am I crazy? He thought what would work? You broke up with her.
The only reason you're confused is because you are confusing your own life and you can't make a goddamn decision and communicate it for like
he's confused. We're confused. What? And so he says he feels crazy. And then we cut back to Lindsay. And she says to her dad, like, relationships take work. And if you're not going to grow together and understand each other, then she's not going to sit here and convince him that they should be together.
Which I agree.
And Carl then says he loves Lindsay and he wants it to work, but doesn't understand how it can. And I go, you don't want it to work. You don't want this.
No.
And then Lindsay's dad is like, look, there has to be more than what happened in those 2 weeks. And Carl says, I can hear Lindsay's conversation and she's going to lie about what happened. Like she doesn't even admit that we had a noise complaint because of our fighting.
Oh my God, that is so bad.
And then he says he's always going to lose and she's going to spin and tell everyone she was blindsided and he'll be canceled and she'll be the fallen woman. And I go, that's your concern right now?
It is different if you said that at a reunion, like, I called cameras because I was concerned about that.
This was 3 minutes after you just ended.
I saw TikToks and I tried to avoid getting other people's opinions, but somebody was like, you trying so hard to not look like the bad guy is making you the bad guy.
Yeah, this was crazy. The fact that he's like, she won't even admit that we got a noise complaint. Like, it's her fault. And I caught myself for a second. I was like, damn, Lindsay, you guys got a noise complaint fighting? And I was like, but it's both of you. It's both of you.
Well, I'm like, there are a couple problems and then there are Lindsay and Carl problems, where they're adding fuel to the fire. And then obviously them getting into an argument and getting a noise complaint is a them problem. So I'm like, all right, more evidence the relationship is bad, but that isn't like Lindsay or delusional. That tells me
she's hiding stuff. I'm like, what? You didn't tell us either. You're just telling us now.
That's the thing. You lived in this relationship for the same amount of time that she did ever since that noise complaint happened. I think Carl woke up 3 weeks ago, let's say, and started to finally say that, I don't want to deal with this shit.
3 weeks ago, right before the 2 weeks she stopped asking questions.
That's unrelated. But 3 weeks ago, he woke up and was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
I am tired of this. I don't want this for the rest of my life. And that's okay. That is fine. And you can end this engagement. And I bet he sat there thinking should I end this engagement or not? And started to kind of process that. But this isn't the way you go down. Just like Sandoval, if you want to break up with this girl, you take her to therapy and you go have a productive conversation about it.
Yeah. You break up. But for 3 minutes after to be like,
concerned
I'm gonna
about your
get
public
canceled.
image and your like 70K influencing career.
She's
you don't
gonna
have that much to
spin it.
lose.
She's gonna spin it that she's hurt. And
she is
she's
hurt.
the
She's
I was
allowed
like,
to be
yeah,
hurt.
she's of course she's hurt. Of course she's allowed to be upset.
He's looking at it so much as like an us or me versus her thing, rather than like we're breaking up and this is like a really hard thing to do and like this is just a miserable experience for us.
Yes, this was wild. The canceled comment said a lot.
I'm the victim of her, and people won't get that narrative. They won't know the truth. When it's like, no, you guys are victims of each other. You guys both did shit to each other. This needed to end. And
yes, if he had honestly said, like, look, I'm upset. I didn't really know what I was going to do in this conversation, but I think it's for the best. We're just not together. It's not working. I feel really sad about it. Like, I'm also mourning this relationship.
I didn't know how to do this. Like, I feel
I probably
so
didn't do it great.
Yeah.
But instead he's like, great, now I'm canceled. And I'm like,
no, you should be like, I feel bad. Like, I didn't know what else to do. Like, it's the best thing for both of us. It's going to be really hard. Like, I'm going to give her space. And he should have immediately left.
And so he pours himself like a glass of OJ and
is like chat about how he's like basically the new scandal.
When you release this, you have to make sure I'm not the canceled one, yes?
Well, I think he's maybe thought producers were like on his side for calling them or being in contact with them at minimum.
Producers saw the headlines and Lindsay going on all the podcasts before it aired and went, I guess
add this bitch in.
Everyone has Lindsay's back, so looks like we're going this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so 48 hours later, the news hits the tabloids, and then we go to Danielle's apartment where Paige.
All right, it did not hit the tabloids 48 hours. It was like an hour later. It was quick. The same day.
Oh, damn.
Yes,
there were rumors. My favorite were the rumors of like he got his affair mistress pregnant.
That I feel bad about because like that had nothing. That shit.
I didn't play into the rumors, so I don't feel bad about it.
That's the nastiness.
That's not my fault. I didn't play into it.
I knew there was no way that could be true.
No, Lindsay would have killed any mistresses and him. That would have been crazy. So
that would have been a crazy storyline.
We're at Danielle's apartment. Paige and Amanda are here. They don't know how to host an end of engagement party. So
do we pop champagne?
They have champagne and they have pajamas.
That this was lighthearted.
I do too. I was like, ooh, and then they found out online, but then Amanda's like, Carl got this call from producers on Tuesday night about filming on Wednesday. So that's how she kind of knew something was up. And then Gabby's here in heels and everyone's like, come on, Gabby, it's a fucking pajama party. Like, get it together. We have to look like we just got broken up with.
We know she's going to roll in rough. You can't look cute.
So Paige says she texted Carl and was basically like, hey, you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he said all this stuff about how he feels bad and like the cameras and blah, blah, blah. I didn't write the whole thing down. If I was Paige, I would have just like liked the comment or liked the text and moved the fuck on.
You can't say now that you feel bad about the cameras. Like, you just got to let it be.
Yeah. Well, Gabby's like, I don't feel bad for Carl. Carl knew what he was doing. And Paige is like, look, they shouldn't get married. And like, that's Paige's voice of reason. Gabby and Danielle are very much Team Lindsay.
Yes.
Amanda, I feel like, is trying to be voice of reason, but it's coming up rough.
Because like on the friendship side, she does lean more Carl. So like, she's just got to not talk is the thing.
I think Paige did it great where she's like, yeah, I texted him. All I said was he'll be okay. They shouldn't get married. And I think
that's the right thing to do when you're like a middle ground person. Like, they are both your friends. Like, it's not weird for Paige to text him.
Yes.
Because that is a hard thing. Just on its head, minus all the like terribleness of how Carl went about it. Like, he should be allowed to, like, he is allowed to end things. Like, he rightfully should. And that is something that is hard to do. And so, like, that's where I think Paige is texting him, like, hey, I know that was really hard, but the best thing for you.
And I think Paige did it great. And she really has never gotten along with Lindsay until this summer. So, like, the fact that she did that, but she's here showing up for Lindsay, I think is great.
That's the thing. Yeah, she never showed up for Lindsay. That would be weird.
Amanda has a more complex relationship because of Kyle and Carl and working together, and I understand that. But yeah, I was just like, Amanda, if if you don't shut up, it's sad that you're gonna end the season as my enemy.
There's a comment later where I'm like, girl,
oh my God, I could have killed her. I know. Gabby, I think though, listen, any of this happens to my friends, I already knew who I am. I'm Gabby. I'm Gabby showing up. You say anything nice about this man, I'm immediately coming for you.
Yes.
Not in this house. This is a sacred place.
Gabby is solely Team Lindsay, which perfect.
We're showing up for her. We have to be at this moment.
Absolutely. But like Danielle knows the nuances between both of these people too. And so it's so, her perspective is so interesting too.
So Gabby they all agree there's like really no quote bad guy here. No one cheated. No one like, yeah. So Gabby's like, sure, fine. But he's not talking to her about this. And that's fucked up, which I guess Carl just like left and now it's like a very open-ended thing. And Amanda's really riding for Carl, like, well, he did what he had to do. And Gabby's like, come on, Amanda.
This is not the day, Amanda. This isn't the day. Those comments are reunion comments. That's fine. You can defend him and like why he needed to do this and maybe how he needed to do this. But like at the support Lindsay brunch, no.
Shut up. And then Amanda goes, let's forget about why and how it happened. And Gabby's like, we can't forget either of those things. That's the reason we're fucking here. And then Amanda's like, they broke up because they weren't getting along. And Gabby goes, yeah, it's communication issues, but like still. And then Amanda says, we both know they weren't making progress. Also, Sierra got here at some point. So Sierra's now here. And she's like, everyone shut up. Danielle, I would love to hear your thoughts because last summer you said, do not get engaged. It's too soon. You don't know each other.
Sierra, I love you, girly. This is the question the audience needed.
I love Sierra, and I love Danielle's answer, too. She says, because Sierra's like, are you having an I told you so moment? Because technically, and Danielle goes, I would never do that. Like, watching Lindsay be hurt is so sad. Like, Danielle cried when Lindsay called her. But Danielle says, this is what I wanted to avoid last summer. But Danielle, again, doesn't want to see Lindsay heartbroken. Like Lindsay just tried on her wedding dress like a week ago. And now, and like Lindsay wants the family and like wants the children and we know her timeline and whatever. And Gabby goes, last week, Carl posted about what a beautiful bride Lindsay's going to be at her shower. And what he did to Lindsay is unforgivable. And I was like, that's a ride or die. And then Amanda's like, what was he supposed to do? And I went, shut up.
Not the day.
What was he supposed to do if he was going to break up with her? Don't post about her a week.
I don't think he had made the decision, but like I don't think use such strong language if you're like having some doubts. You show up, you give the flowers, you give the kiss, and you say, doesn't she look pretty?
It's also okay if you don't post on Instagram fucking everything about how she'll make a beautiful bride one day. Like, that's okay.
I think he did need to post that. Like, it would have been weird if he didn't post it. Like, you kind of do a little bit of something, but you don't use the most, like, she's going to be the most beautiful bride.
Sure, but, like, if boys don't post on Instagram, I don't think it's that weird. I think boys are bad at Instagram.
I agree, but he is not just a regular schmegular boy.
All right. But
Lindsay might be writing that caption for all we know.
Lindsay posted it herself. So Amanda's like, what was he supposed to do? And she's really writing for Carl and his emotions. And she's like, I could never do what Carl did. He's so strong for that. And I was like, girl, first I go, girl, we know you can never do it. We've been begging you for seasons. And you're still getting called a lazy bitch ass.
But is the most important person in the company to help save it.
Yeah, he literally a few episodes ago, never forget, called you a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
So like,
we know you didn't have.
We know you don't have any fucking balls. So stop.
We know you look up to Carl.
Gabby goes, it takes something, but it's not strength. And I
was like, damn, that was a good response.
I literally said, Amanda, you're gonna lose the fight. Step out. Because the only person angrier than Lindsay is her best ride or die friend. And that right now is Gabby. So watch out. What's even
more incredible is like she is friends with Carl, so she's not hitting below the belt, calling him names. No. She's just saying he did her wrong. And she's like sticking up for her friend without tearing down Carl for like not like the stupidest stuff that isn't related to this.
He's a little bitch mama boy, if you ask me.
Well, Alicia will go there.
So Lindsay's here, immediately sobs, and I felt so sad.
You know what? I did want to squeeze her tight.
Squeeze. See, Danielle did a squeeze. This is an appropriate time
This
for a
is a
squeeze.
moment.
Lindsay didn't even have to say squeeze
If you have to
me.
ask for it, it's not the time.
It's not it. It's not
if
the
you
moment.
can physically ask for it, not the time.
It's not the moment. So Paige, like Lindsay sits down. The girls are all on the couch. Like Lindsay's just very upset. And Paige says, Carl did you a favor. Well, no, wait. First, all the girls stand up and hug her. Sorry. And this is where Paige says, Carl did you a favor. You don't want to marry that man.
That's the support. Like,
that's great. That's great girl shit. So this is where I know Paige at her fucking core. And honestly, also Sierra. Girls to their end.
Absolutely.
Amanda might be up there with Lindsay and Danielle. Like, not a girl's girl. Tries to be, wants to be. Gabby, girl's girl.
Gabby, girl's girl. Amanda, I think, will always let her personal allegiances affect how she can support people. Which I think that's how Danielle and Lindsay are. Yeah. Like,
which we've always said they're not girls.
And give you a tight squeeze.
Well, Paige is also a girl's girl. Never forget Hannah. Like, even when we all turned on Hannah, Paige said, I'm standing next to my friend. This is my friend. Even against Amanda and Kyle, this is my friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I expected this from Paige, and she was fantastic. She did not disappoint. If I ever get dumped, call Paige. Someone call Paige.
We need a hotline.
And honestly, Gabby, so we can kill him, too. But
that's the thing. Gabby is giving the different type of support than, like, Paige is, and you need it all. You need the let's go kill him, I'll hide the body.
You need the Sierra of, like, I'm just silent support. You need Danielle with the alcohol support. You don't need Amanda with the man support. Shut it down.
And Paige is like, you're going to be fine in the future.
Well, did you see Paige cut in front of Amanda for a hug and was like, no.
She's like, I got this. This is my expertise.
And Paige, so she's hugging Lindsay. And they do like a cute girls hug. Like all the girls come in. And it made me tear up a little because I love this is what we've just always wanted. Yeah. And then Paige says, this is what you get for not inviting me to your wedding.
Dead.
And so they all laugh. And then she goes, but I'll come to the next one.
I got you at the next one.
I'll come to the next one.
You need a little humor.
A little bit.
Because, like, to get something, it's kind of like Ariana at the reunion. Like, she needed something funny to stop crying, you know? Like,
yeah, this was
easy
great
to keep the tears going. So you need a little humor. Like, Paige can give you that, like, cute little jab, and it's, like,
because
funny,
her and
but
Paige
she's
also aren't friends. So, like, Paige doing it. I don't want to say they're not friends. They've never in the past been very close.
They don't need to be best friends, and I feel like they finally know where they fit in each other's lives, and
And now I like that Paige is sitting next to Lindsay at that reunion. It makes me feel comfortable.
Okay, I didn't remember this from the seating chart, but it goes, at least in the clips I saw, I swear it went Lindsay, Sierra, Paige.
Oh, you're right.
Like, the chart did not show that.
Because I did think it was weird. You're right. I said it was weird that Sierra was right there.
Yes. So, like, even more interesting, I feel like Paige would be better support, but maybe she does have some issues with Lindsay in present day.
Maybe it was just Sierra had the next best season, you know?
The West storyline is the next.
Anyway, so back to Lindsay.
Yes.
Lindsay just can't understand this, how he could do this to his best friend, and she's so humiliated and blindsided. Lindsay's going through the stages of grief, okay? Yes. Anyone who's like, how did she still not see it coming? She's in the denial phase.
But I don't think she lives in it that long, because she said, like, I was so blindsided, but, like, I'm starting to...
This is 48 hours.
Yeah, but like, Paige says, like, he did you a favor, and she's like, I'm starting to realize, like, I'm seeing it.
Well, she says, like, she's always been this person. He knew her, and she doesn't know where this whole, like, she needed to change thing came from, because she's loved him since they were together, and then this was heartbreaking, that she was just patiently waiting for Carl to realize that she was the one, and I went, what?
Okay, I believe that from the finger bang on, kind of, but, like, I don't think, like...
Oh, no, not the Everest
prior to
stuff.
The finger bang, she's, like, pining after him.
I don't even think that. I think the COVID season was where she started to develop feelings.
Yeah.
That was when, like, his brother died, and then she was the first person he went to, and she was really there for him. And I think that, because wasn't that then the next season was Amanda and Kyle's wedding?
Yes. Yeah. They were planning their wedding 8,000 times.
Yeah, so I think it was that. I think it was like that was the season that she was like, oh, we're
starting to feel things, which is so funny because that same season is the Stravy season. But she's like,
She
I don't
sent him
think she
packing
ever
though.
saw it with Stravy as like really long term, and
No.
she gave him that timeline. I think because she wants the everything, and then it's like this isn't it. This is not going to work, and it her and Carl wasn't as pressurized as like her and Stravy to make the
Agreed.
timeline happen.
Also, I think like, yeah, okay. I don't think Lindsay's the type to wait around for someone, but I think she'll date well. But like, if Carl had shown up while she was with Stravy, she would have been like, yeah.
It's like always in the back of her mind, like, will this,
Yes.
won't this?
Yeah, and she's not going to wait for it. But I
No.
think I put it at the COVID season is when like they
Yeah.
got really close, and then they had a whole nother season. And I think she was just hoeing about, which we loved.
Yes. Well, I think she's the type that if he shows effort and puts in effort and wants this too, I'm in. Like, I will be an immediate yes if he also is a yes.
Yes, but if he's a no, I'm not gonna.
And that's why I think like the engagement happens so quick too. Is like she's like, this is what I want overall, but like when he's ready, I'm in.
I'm ready. Yeah. So Lindsay says like, yeah, there were fights, but so what? And Amanda's like, well, you guys have been fighting for a while.
That was the comment. I was like, we don't need to talk about this right now.
And then Paige comes in and she's like, he did you a favor, let him go. In a couple or like in a year, you could be married with a baby to the love of your life. So you need to let him go so you can let someone else in.
I loved that.
And Paige says, you deserve more happiness than him. And I went,
I think
beautiful.
that's the light bulb that probably helped her click a little bit to
I
be
do
like,
too.
I wasn't happy.
Well, Paige was also very vocally, not that there were teams in this, but she said, like, I have Lindsay's back in this. And I think it's the essence of, when you're a girl's girl who's friends with girls, no one is good enough for the girls anyway, okay?
Yeah.
So even all my friends who are happily married to men I love, you're not good enough for my friends.
Well,
Let's start there.
I think like Paige also operates under the like let them. Like if he's gonna end this and he doesn't want to be with you, he is not for you.
My point was you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So then when you do something like this, let him go. He's not even worth a tear because he's not good enough.
He already wasn't worth it.
I knew
really
that.
Isn't.
Yeah, he's really not worth it now. Are you kidding me? So she's like, fuck that.
And they say we hate men. That's insane.
We love that so much. I can't understand why I'm single. Look, there are good men. Paige thinks this way, and Craig Conover is head over heels obsessed with her. So,
well, I think
Andrea
he knows
Denver,
that he's not an incredible human. Like he knows his place. Like she tells him,
he knows he's shit. We've watched it for 8 seasons or 9 seasons.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they still have this stupid Mexico trip they got to go on because it's non-refundable. But
it was
the
like
girls
2 days
are like,
after the deadline to cancel.
That's crazy. The girls are like, should we do a girls trip? Should we do a girls trip to Mexico? And I love women. I was crying. I was like, this is what I wanted out of Vanderpump Rules. Yeah. And I'm glad I got it in Summer House because I needed it. I needed it somewhere. And even though Amanda bugged the shit out of me, the fact that she showed up,
I know.
Fine. I love this group of women.
Listen, we're never going to get it perfect. Like nobody's perfect. So like, but this is what we were asking for. And I love it as a viewer, but I love it even more as evidence that everybody can tag the Vanderpump Rules girls in to say, this, ladies.
This was women. So, aren't you just so happy that this was happening the summer of Barbie? The year of 2023?
I needed to know that it stuck for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it stuck for me.
Amanda obviously saw Oppenheimer, so...
Because Kyle wanted to, and whatever Kyle wants goes.
She should go see Barbie.
You know what? That's a question for every cast member of every reality TV
Did you
on Bravo moving forward.
Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Did you see Barbie when it was in theaters?
And which one did you see first? I think that's important.
Listen, Barbie was sold out, so I can give some people a little bit of pass, but they better tell me it was sold out whenever they tried to go see it first.
Yeah, like they tried to buy Barbie first. So, next week we have the reunion. It's very much going to be Carl versus Lindsay. How many parts?
I can't figure that out because I think Tierney told me 3, and I'm like, we've historically gotten 2 from Summer House. If it's 3, I'm gonna be pissed because that means they're gonna wait till part 3 to give us the goddamn Lindsay and Carl shit.
Yeah. So Jesse has a rough start. Paige and Danielle go head to head, which wild. I didn't know this was beef, but I'm excited to see the beef. We find out what happened with Sierra and Wes. I don't think they're together.
No.
She showed up in a revenge dress. I said it in my thing. I go, this dress? On my TikTok, I go, this dress?
They did a little Carl, what's that girl from first season? One of the Workus twins. Carl Workus twin shit, where they fucked around a little bit in the like fall and winter, and it like blew up, and then
he couldn't commit. I think it's the women of Bravo. All of us wanted him, but here's the thing: we don't want you hurting our other woman, you know?
Because it was also like released that he was on it. I saw stuff that he was on it in like comments on stuff, and like knew he was going to be on it like months before they even released it. Like officially.
I told you, I saw him at a bar with a girl that wasn't I didn't see him. My friend saw him at a bar with a girl that wasn't Sierra. So
well, he has a lot of girlfriends. We did see that in his last thing, but I don't think they're together.
I don't either. Carl having cameras at the breakup. Lindsay is seeing someone new and he hasn't seen the show. That's fine as long as he never wants to be on it. That's our rule.
You should look up your partner's past a little bit. If I had access to cameras on how
we go back and forth. Because I have said before you should always watch it. And then we've agreed that like if you're going to be on the show, you should watch it. But I just know
if it's available to me, I may not watch everything, but you should like see some highlight clips.
I would TikTok you and see. I'd be like, Lindsay highlights.
That's the thing. If you tell me you're a reality star and I'm not going to look, that's like me in a criminal trial asking to not see the evidence before I prepare.
Me knowing you're a serial killer and being like, I don't want to know.
Don't tell me how many bodies. I'll find out myself as we go along.
Overall, it was a long episode, but it was good. Summer House was, I think, pretty good this season. I'm satisfied with the season.
I'm hopeful for this reunion because I just think that they also come in more of a fighting mood on Summer House, ready to hash things out in a productive manner.
I think they're smarter. I just think there's more intelligent people.
I have a question for you. Did you see that Lindsay did that like magazine or the like article? I didn't read it yet, but in the caption of whatever interview she just got released, it said something about preparing to be in the house with her ex. So like I think both of them are coming back. So like I'm ready for season 9.
I hope it's not just like the same fight over and over again.
But I also don't want awkward tension constantly.
Yeah, this could either go really good or really bad. I would like to say, though, as my vote, if we can only pick one to be in the house, I'm picking Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, so.
All right, let's get into, oh, wait, accepted and blocked?
No. Oh, my God, we got to do fun. Oh, my God, I forgot to add everyone up. That's my bad. I'll do it for the reunion. I'm not going to add it up in the middle of this right now.
I don't think, did we do it last episode?
No, you were in Europe.
I know.
I don't think so. That's on us. I'll add it up for the reunion. I am so sorry. I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, fun, not fun. What?
I mean, obviously not fun.
Who's here not fun? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go Amanda. She really made me sad.
Dude, that was not good.
I'm sorry. I've always thought you were hot, but I'm sorry you got marked down on my list of women. This was too perfect. It was too good.
There's a time and place. I'm not mad about the comments. It's the time and place.
Time and place. Okay, Who's your fun? I know. There was a lot because it's like, do you want to support Lindsay with the fun or do you want someone who's actually fun? I have my fun.
Okay, go.
I'm picking Paige.
Oh, that was who I was thinking.
I'll
pick Lindsay. Lindsay.
The episode really didn't have anyone but Carl and Lindsay, but Paige at the end made me really happy. I could also go Gabby. I think the both of them were fucking fantastic.
You know what? I think I realized a lot of Lindsay's growth this episode, and so like that's where she's fun.
A win for Hub House!
A win. Woo! That therapy, it does work. I did rag on her therapy for a lot of years.
It just takes time, Meredith. How long did it take you to work on yourself?
I'm not there. I'm judging from a glass house here.
I don't know. My therapist is you're pretty okay.
I'm in full-time therapy. I'm just not over my shit. I've done zero progress.
I tell my therapist all the things other people do that are wrong. And she's like, you're right. You're perfect. And I'm like, I know.
I have shifted from the blame game. I have finally at 28 years old.
I have it. No, I'm just
identified
kidding.
where
There
I
was
can
actually,
change.
not to go into like a therapy podcast, but there was something we went through, me and my therapist this week, where I went, oh. And I was
You're like,
like, it was like a
damn.
real like sometimes I know, and then she just repeats it, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
know. This was a thing where I was like, oh.
My therapist tried to hand
Fuck.
me a learning, which I already knew, but we're
Oh.
new together. And she was like, you're hyper independent. And I was like, yeah, no, I already know that.
Oh, I've diagnosed myself with that. What do I need
I already
someone to
know
tell
that.
me?
That wasn't groundbreaking, but
Yeah,
thank you.
I hate yes. I sometimes on TikTok get hyper independence TikToks, and I'm like, yeah, hey,
I'm
whatever.
here.
We've gone off topic. Anyway, yay for Lindsay, yay for Paige.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, if these two could just forever link up,
I just
take
don't
over
think
the
that's
world.
too much power. I just don't think that they're both alphas. You can't have too
I'm
many
just
together.
gonna dream. You know what? It's dreams versus reality, Meredith. This is my dream. This is my dream.
Keep it in the dream. That doesn't mean it's reality.
Okay, thank you so much for joining. It was a great season finale. I think I had a lot of fun with the season. Meredith and I obviously couldn't shut up, and we love to analyze people. So this was
All
top
day, every day,
notch. It
baby.
felt like politics almost. Like we were like
I can
reading the
see
game.
some points on Carl's side. I know it's so easy to blame him for everything, and so I
see
just needed to
them.
point out my points. But I am
See
Team
them.
Lindsay
I just don't
overall.
like it.
I understand.
Anyway, do all the things I mentioned. We will be back with the reunion, and I will make sure to add up everyone, like our fun, not fun, so we can
Yeah.
do that. But thank you so much.
Thanks for joining. Bye.